When it comes to detailed design and implementation, no matter what it is we're building, we have to make some priority decisions. We have to decide what things we're going to do first. Now, if you're looking at it purely from a software engineering perspective, you tend to build the framework, the infrastructure of the system in order that you can plug in new bits and test them out. From user-centered design, it's a slightly different approach. We actually really need to consider what's important to our users. And if you're following some approaches like minimal viable product, or better yet, minimal lovable product, then you want to make sure that what you ship first is really important to your personas. John Pruitt and Tamara Adlin, in their book, The Persona Lifecycle, describe a persona-weighted feature matrix. I don't actually know whether they invented it or are just including it in their book from another source, but it's a perfectly straightforward concept that you have your personas across the top of the table, and you have features in some way describing the implementation of your system. So these could actually be features that you've identified individually. They could be use cases or important user stories. They could be epics, which tend to be large collections of features, but you're considering them as a whole in this case. And the point of the matrix is that you have a weight for each of your personas. In the example we're showing, the weights add up to 100, which I think is a good rule of thumb. And persona 1 is obviously the most important, persona 2 a little bit less important, and then persona 3 is kind of an afterthought in this particular instance. And for each feature, whatever the feature is, we have a scale to decide or determine how important these things are for each of those persona. So a -1 means that this is actually detrimental to this persona. And that does happen always in user interface design, user-centered design. There are features that make life easier for some users and make life worse for others, unfortunately. 0 is a neutral result. 1 is somewhat liked, and 2 is absolutely loved by this particular persona. And then you just do the arithmetic. You multiply the weight by the cell value and then add up across the rows to get the weighted priorities. This kind of approach is not that uncommon. It's just that here we're basing it on personas rather than any other considerations.